Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Steve Woody, and I'm going to be hosting tonight's webinar, which is how to create a website in 60 minutes, and the fact that it is so simple that a 6-year-old can do it. I'm just going to give everybody a couple of minutes to get into the room. So if you are here and you can hear me, if you can just let me know, just type something into the chat box for me, that would be great. And we'll be starting in about 2 minutes' time. Okay, again, good evening, everybody. I'm just going to give it another 30 seconds just so that everyone can get into the room. Hopefully you can hear me okay. If you can just let me know in the chat box that you can hear me, that would be great. Again, we'll be getting started in about 30 to 60 seconds, just letting everyone come in now. Okay, fantastic. Welcome. So hopefully you can all hear me okay. And what I'm going to do is over the next 60 minutes, I'm actually going to build a website. So anybody that was at the Yes Group in London last night, you would have heard I sponsored the event. And one of the things I said was I was going to take somebody from that event and I was going to build their website live. And I put an email out and I had a response, and I've picked what I consider to be the perfect person to not only be able to help this person, but for all of you to be able to see what I'm going to do. And the reason I've chosen this person is because they've currently built a website on Wix. Wix is a template designer that you can use to build a website, and a lot of people use this, but I'm going to go through some of the limitations in that, and I'm going to show you just how quickly I can not only replicate, but I can improve the current website and how quickly you can build the same. So just before I get started, I'm just going to share my screen, so hopefully you can all see this. Bear with me a second. So hopefully you can see my screen now and it's working okay. I just want to really quickly talk you through this 10-step journey, because these are the really important 10 steps that you need to know before you create your website. This is so important. The website itself is simple. This is the things that you need to know. And in fact, I'm going to put a link here so that you can actually go ahead and download this now if you wanted to. So on the link that I've just put into the Google Hangout, which you'll be able to see, you can actually just download, or you can just get this PDF. You don't even need to give me name or email. You can just get hold of that. So step one is prepare your strategy. We need to know who is your target audience, how old they are, where they live, how do they behave, and more importantly is what problem can I solve for them? So we need to go through that. Step two, we need to map out your sales funnel. We need to know exactly how you're going to capture your audience and what sort of value you're going to give them. Step three, we need to create your sitemap of the pages that you need. Step four, we need to create the wireframes, which is the layout of those pages and where the elements will go on that page. Step five, we need to write your content. Step six, we need to design your website. Step seven, we need to look at the functionality, i.e. the shopping cart, all of the autoresponders, any other things that we need, booking systems and things like that. Step eight, we need to test the website, make sure it works, not only on a laptop, but also on mobile devices, on different platforms to make sure that it works okay. Step nine is we need to install and we need to utilize analytics to track our visitors' behavior. And step 10 is we need to split test to find out what works. So we can take two elements and we can find out which one converts and performs better than the other. So they're the 10 steps. And the reason that I'm rushing through this is because I've got so much to go through tonight. So that's really the important information that I want to cover with you. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to jump straight in and I'm going to show you the website that I'm going to build. So I was sent this link from a lady called Delara, and her website at the moment is not live, but it's built on the Wix platform. And I'm going to spend just 2 minutes now and show you what she's currently got. And then in an hour's time, you'll be able to see what I've done with it. So this is her current website. As I said, it's on Wix. Instantly looking at it, and I'm going to be quite critical here, we can see that the social media buttons aren't even on the page. I can't really read this writing very well. The menu looks okay. I understand the menu, that's fine. This doesn't really do the site any justice. I think it'd probably be better without this. One, this is a common misconception about having rotating banners. Most people think that they have a rotating banner to utilize retail space above the fold or on the website. It's factually incorrect. A rotating banner will harm your conversions because it gives people too many things to look at. What you need to do is have one specific outcome per page and not have, and these are moving too fast anyway. They're not really well designed, so it's not really doing the site any justice. So I would in this instance get rid of this, but if you can help it, get rid of rotating banners altogether and have one image with one call to action. Scrolling down, we've got some text, a lot of white space on the site. We can go to About Us, which is fine. We've got a picture and About Us text, that's okay. Baby showers, now that's off center, which annoys my OCD more than anything, but I don't like that these images are all different sizes. I'd like some consistency and maybe a bit of a text about what it is I'm looking at. Also, yes, I get that you've got a gallery here, but where's my call to action? If I want to book now, I actually need to go in and book a baby shower, and I can't do that from this page. So there's no actual call to action or nowhere I can go to do that. So bear with me a second, I'll just turn that off. Kids parties and grown-ups, exactly the same. Comes to theming, and this font, again, it's quite difficult to read. There's a lot of information here. This should be a visual website. It should be fun. Okay, it looks very corporate. It looks very, doesn't look really like a party website. Doesn't look like something that's going to engage me as to want to have this. You know, the images are good, but the actual site itself is lacking that creativity. Coming across to the contact page, and again, we're using a corporate stock image here. That's not really, you know, I want this to be personable. If I'm going to hire you to come out and do my kid's birthday, I want to see you. I want to know who you are, and I want to see you in, you know, in your light, in you doing what you do best, not sitting at a desk with a load of ring binders behind you. Even though obviously that's not you because that's a stock image. The other thing, I love the fact we have a web form here, but we have the email address as well. I mean, having the email address and the web form, the whole purpose of a web form is to reduce spam, caused by having an email address. So it's counterintuitive to have both. I've removed the email address, not have that on there, and I even make the contact number clickable. So wrap that in a link so that if you're on a mobile device, you can click that, call the person straight away. Just start thinking about your audience. If I'm on your website, how can you make my experience better? I'm going to assume that'll be gone when the site's launched, but we didn't want that box on the bottom either. And the online store, I know it's not built yet, but this buy now button has absolutely no relevance. I don't know why it's there, what it's doing. And I can see obviously some images are starting to be loaded up, but at the moment, I wouldn't even have that on the site. I'd take it off and until you've built the site out. You don't want half a site or half a shopping cart. So, right, what I'm going to do now, let me just switch back here for one moment. Bear with me a second. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rebuild this site and I'm going to go through it. So for me, the most important thing here is the user, is the end user. And obviously it's not going to be for kids. This is going to be for adults that are going to be booking parties for kids. So it's important that we aim this at the target market. So I spoke with Delara earlier and I've probably spent about an hour on the site. So I've created a couple of images and a few things so far to use. And what we've done is we've gone through a color palette. Now, these are some notes that I've taken, and that's pretty much all I've got. That's from the conversation I had with her on the phone. And what I've done is I've narrowed this down into two separate sections of things we need to get started. One is the brand colors. What colors are you going to use on your website to attract your target audience? So because this is a kind of a party film, because we want to get that sort of upbeat, vibrant sort of feel going to it, we've gone for some very fun, exciting colors, and I'll go through those with you in a second. And also the typography, what we're going to use to be able to portray that image. So what you really need, if you've got your website, there's only three main colors you need. You need a primary color, what will be used in your headings and your primary color. You need your secondary color, which will complement your primary color. And then you need what's called the opposite. So if you have a certain color, you need the opposite color to that. For example, that will be a call to action. So there is a Google image. If you type in color psychology and you were to have a look, and I'll post a link to this when I find it later, but I just want to quickly go in and show you this now. I'm going to share my screen again. Bear with me a second while I just share this. So if I come across to color psychology, there is a, let me just find it as I scroll down the page here. So this is a really good representation. So you have your primary color and it says complementary, but this is the opposite. So if you have orange as your primary color, then your call to action should be blue. You know, if you have yellow, then your call to action should be purple. If you have red, then your call to action should be green. Just gives you an idea, and you can get more involved and better color psychology wheels than this, but this just gives you an idea that you want to be having opposite colors. And the reason for that is your call to action needs to stand out. Okay, it needs to have impact. So we've done that. So what I'm going to do now is just go through and have a look to see if there are any questions in the Google Hangout. I appreciate when I share my screen, when I do that, it kind of has this cascading effect that we get. But I'm just going to pop into the chat box now. Ian, you're definitely not the only one here, mate, but you're close. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn on the chat box here for everybody. So hopefully you'll be able to see the chat box. I'm going to make sure that it's not public, it's not private. You can see, and you can all talk to each other. So what I'm going to do now, and I appreciate that was really rushed, is you've seen the site so far. I'm going to rebuild this site now. So what I'm going to do is I've already installed WordPress because we're going to do it on WordPress. The reason I'm going to do it on WordPress is because Delara is currently using Wix. And the challenge with that is if you're using a third party such as Wix or GoDaddy's template builder or anything like that, if they change their terms and conditions, or if they close down or change direction or put something that is you know, not what you're doing, it doesn't sort of abide, you don't abide by their new terms and conditions, their rules, they can pull the rug underneath you and they can close your website down. I know clients that have got, well, I know friends as well that have got Facebook groups that have had well over 10,000 members in them that have been closed down like that because they broke, for some reason, Facebook's new terms and conditions. And as a result, they lost their business overnight. They lost their sold traffic. They lost everything, their community, all just disappeared. So the reason I share that with you is because it is really important that you don't rely too heavily on third-party things like Wix, especially when it comes to your business. It's like people that try and build an email list within Facebook. I mean, you don't own that list. And if Facebook decide to shut it down, you lose that list. You need to be doing things that you have control over. And with Wix, with the best intention in the world, you do not control your website. It is not your website. You're running a business which is borrowed from somebody else. Okay, it's not a smart way to do business. So for that reason alone is why I chose to do this and to be able to swap around a Wix website into a WordPress website in what is now going to be 45 minutes because I spent 15 minutes talking. So don't worry too much about what I'm doing. I know I'm going to fly through this really quickly, but the good news is that you can actually go through this again in the recording. And also I've got 30-day videos. I've got a 30-day course where every day there is a video that shows you step by step individually how to do each element that I'm going to do now. I'm just kind of going through it in fast pace because I've done this a few times. So back to sharing my screen. And I'll come back on for some questions in a little while. So I've installed WordPress and I've installed the theme that I'm going to use at the moment. And this is what it looks like. This is, I've not touched it. I've not done anything else to it. This is just the website as it looks at the moment. Here's my WordPress dashboard. And here's the current site the way it is at the moment. So I'm going to go to home. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to be flicking between the two as I rebuild this. So the first thing I want to do is I want to have this header. Now, as I said earlier, I've created a few things. I spent about an hour earlier and I've created a new logo. So if you look at the current logo that we had, which was there, and I've redone it with a new font, hopefully a bit easier to read. I've tried to change, and I've tried to keep it very similar, but we've changed the font slightly, and we've just given it a new sort of logo, a new sort of header that we're going to use. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to upload that now, and I'm just going to put in the basic customizations. So to give you an idea, I'm using a theme called the X theme. It's $63 on Theme Forest. It's the world's leading theme, and I use it for every single thing I develop. And I can show you some amazing things we've done with this. But we use the X theme. If ever you build a website in WordPress, always use what's called a child theme. The reason for that is because if you build a website with the core theme and the developer updates that theme, you will lose any customizations you've made. So we always install what's called a child theme and we activate that. And here we're going to go into the customization element of this theme. So every theme will give you different options. This is just what I get from being part of the X theme. And you're going to see some things in a minute that's totally different to what you may be used to if you're used to building a WordPress website. So first thing I'm going to do is, I'm not going to go through it all in too much detail. Don't worry about I haven't got time to go through it all. But to give you an idea, it uses 4 different stacks, so 4 different layout options. We're going to use integrity. We're going to use the light version. We're going to make sure all this is as it is there. That's fine. We've got a blog header. We've got all the other things here. We're going to come down to layout and design. And the first thing I want to look at when I come to layout and design, full width, and we're going to go 1200 pixels, which is the max width, which is sort of from the left side here to the right side here. I'm going to scroll down and we're going to have background color, which we're going to leave as white. That's fine. Background pattern, background image, that's absolutely fine. First thing we want to do is go down to typography. Now, the great thing about this site is when we go to typography, we can use custom fonts. This has now just loaded all of Google's fonts. Google's got about 663 or something like that, 600 odd fonts. We can now click here and we can use all of Google's fonts. So I can see I'm going to use for my primary shadows into light 2. So I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to choose, because this is for the logo font, shadows into light 2. We change that and you'll see this will now change that into the font that we're using. We can also change the font color, font size. You get the idea. We're going to scroll down to the nav bar. And the nav bar in this case, we're going to do the same. So I can change that there. What I'm also going to do is start setting up the nav bar links or the colors. So I can see here using the color palette that I've got, the primary colors that I'm going to be using is, I've got hex codes here, which is F79740. This is going to be our primary color. And our sort of secondary color I'm going to put in the hover here is going to be F7DF40. So here you can see we've got our primary and our secondary color, and you can see what happens now when we hover over this. I want to make the size a bit bigger. I'm going to make that 18. So now you get an idea and you can see what happens here. Scroll down a bit further. We've got heading fonts, which we know we want to be shadow into light 2. Scroll back down. Oh, sorry, no. Scroll back up. Heading font color. So we know what we want to do for that. And at this point, I can just come and I can pick the main colors. So I'm going to copy and paste that. Scroll down. All I'm doing really now is just going through and just setting everything up. So there was one called Bubblegum Sands. I don't know what this looks like. I looked at it. I think that may be a little bit too much for the writing. I mean, I was looking at that earlier and thinking it would be quite nice as a sort of a playful sort of font. I think that may be a little bit too much when you start trying to read the site. So what I'm going to do for now is use Open Sans just to keep it nice and simple for now. We can maybe change that later if we want to. So I'm going to scroll down, come down to the site links, and we can see here when we hover over, we've got these site links. If I was to change that, you can see that's now changed. But what I'm going to do for the site links, I'm going to have them there, and we're going to have that when we hover over. So as we hover over the site links, we're going to make sure that they actually change to what is going to be the call to action color. And that's going to be 8FC D8B. And we're going to get our different colors. Buttons. So again, if we have buttons, we're going to have a flat button, make sure it's normal size. What the background color will be, well, this is where we have our call to action. So our call to action color, which we've just had there, is 8FCD8B. And you get the idea of what we're doing now, just sort of customizing this and setting everything up. I'll do the button border the same. But this time when they hover over, what I'm going to do is we're going to change this to white. So the button text I'll have to the call to action. What this will do is give it a really nice effect so that when we hover over a button, it will turn from the green to a white, but the text will go from white to green. So it will kind of invert, and it will give it a nice little, you know, you can do something with this when you hover over it. So that's all done. I'm going to save and publish. And as you can see, we're actually getting this in real time. So any of the customizations we make, you can see them before you save and publish. So really, really good feature there. Coming into the header, I'm going to upload our logo. So I'm going to come across here, pick up this logo. I've got a PNG if you want it transparent. I've got a JPEG. I'm going to literally just drop that into there. It'll upload. I've compressed it already, so it's a nice small image. I'll choose this as the image, and you'll see that there, which is going to be far too big. So what I'm going to do is, rather than having it in line with the menu, I'm going to have it what's called stacked, and that'll put the menu underneath. So now you can see we've got our headline and we've got our menu underneath. It's already starting to look a little bit better. And I haven't built this, by the way. This is the first time that I'm building this now. I'm just going to come across back and have a look. I'm not sure I understand the colors in code numbers. That's absolutely fine. Don't worry about that. All that means, and it's a great question. All that means is called a hex code. So any color that you use online has a hashtag and then like a 6-digit number combination. If I go into something like Photoshop, or if you, when you start looking at colors, you'll understand. If you type in red hex code into Google, for example, it'll tell you here. So you can see that for red, the color is FF0000. And if I type that in, that will give me red. FFFFFF will give you white, whereas 000000 will give you black. So they're just representations of colors. And with millions and millions and millions of colors, obviously there's so many, you can imagine, if you change just one character in that 6-digit string, you'll get a different shade gradient variation. So there's so many different opportunities. That's all I'm basically doing there, is just changing the colors, just so that you know. So coming back here and working down, just going through. I will come back and answer any questions you've got at the end as well. I'm just going to sort of fly through this so you get the most out of it. So the header, as you see here, there's this little tab. If I click that, I get a little drop down. I want to disable that. I don't want that. I'm going to get rid of it. I'm going to scroll down a little bit further and come to the footer area. So here we can choose whether we want to have this powered by at the bottom, which can't really see there, but here it says powered by. I'm going to just delete that. You can turn off and on bits that you may want, you may not want. Again, footer widget area, so we can have 1, 2, 3, and 4. If you imagine, I'm going to turn them off, and that will just disable that. And we've got a little menu at the bottom as well there. So that's pretty much all I want there. Other things that we can go through later. At the moment, I'm not too bothered. For social media, if we've got social media pages, I know that Laura had a social media Facebook page, so I'm just going to take her Facebook link. I'm going to come back here and I'm going to put that in there. Save and publish, and you can see she's now got a Facebook link. So just to give you a quick idea, that's the customization done for now. That's all I'm doing for now on that. I'm now going to come back to the site. And again, I know I'm going quickly. I've got a lot I want to cover. Don't worry too much. I'm just showing you now what's possible. Don't worry, you can go back through this in your own time. And my course goes through this in much greater depth. So what I need to do now is I need to create a menu. So I'm going to come into the menus. And at the same time, I'm going to, for the sake of saving time, open up new pages. So I need to look at what pages we've currently got. So home, about us, baby showers example, and I need to create these. So we'll have this as our home page. And all my pages, these are all different templates that we can create. So we can have an inner container, no container, content left with a sidebar on the right, or content right with a sidebar on the left. For width, there's loads of different options. I always choose no container, header, and footer. What's really good about no container, no header, no footer is if you want to do like a landing page or a sales page, maybe you don't want them to see the menu. Maybe you don't want them to click anywhere else. You want them just to stay on that page. So you can have a completely blank page with nothing else on it. For now, I'm going to use this, and I'm just going to update that. And I'm going to go ahead and quickly just create all the new pages that I need. So for now, for this site, I need an about us. I'm going to publish that. I'm going to come and have a look, and I know that I need baby showers. So I'm going to add new. And again, I'm going to get into this in a second, and you're going to see just how quick and easy this is. I need to do kids parties and grown-up parties. And I like the idea of grown-up parties. It's better than adult parties, because adult parties, well, Ian Young will tell you, that's a little bit more risque maybe, and you don't want to confuse people. So on here, we're going to do kids parties now. Just changing the template, as you can see, for every page. I'm just setting up all. So this would be what we would do when we go through our site map and we know what all our pages are. We can just go ahead and create them. Next one I want here is grown-up parties. We go ahead and we're going to publish that. Theming, I'm going to leave off this for the moment. I don't want to look at theming right now. I'm going to add contacts on there. I'm going to leave off online store just for now. Just for now. We'll come back to that. So I want to add one more page, which is going to be contact. I'm just going to do that for now. So in WordPress, there is some standard things you need to do when you set it up as well. I'm going to go into the settings. I'm going to go into general. I'm going to go into discussion. I'm going to go into permalinks, which are the 3 things I need to look at. General settings, I'm going to delete just another WordPress site because we don't want that. In fact, there is a tagline here, which is turning events into, it says here, unique, elegant, and unforgettable memories. But I've taken out elegant because I don't think kids' parties are normally elegant. So I just removed that. but they're definitely unique and unforgettable, so we like that. So I come back now to where I was in the general settings, and I'm going to add that in there. So the lower event, turn an event into unique and unforgettable memories as a little subtitle. Save that. Discussions, we're going to turn these top 3 off. So this adds a comment section to the bottom of every page. We maybe don't want that, so we're going to turn that off. Just save the changes. I'm going to come across to the permalink, and we're going to change it from default, this weird little number here that makes no sense to anyone, to a more user-friendly post name. So whatever the name of the page is, that is what will now become the page that we've used. So instead of being page ID equals 14, if I refresh this, it will now be / contact us, which, as you can see, is a lot more, it's a lot easier to use. So it makes sense. You'd be surprised, but a lot of people actually do forget that. So we've done our permalinks, we've done our discussion, we've done our general settings. What I now need to do is go to reading, and we need to set a couple of things up here. So we're going to go from our latest post. We're going to change this to a static page, and it's going to be our home page. We're going to save that. What that now means is when I come to the home page and refresh, this is now going to be the static page. So ignore example content. We're going to change that, but you can see now this is going to be our page we're going to create as our home page. Come across to the menu. If I refresh this now, we'll have all of our pages we've created. We're going to call this main menu. I'm going to create this. We're going to have home, about, baby, kids, grown-ups, and contact us. We'll add all of these to the menu. And as we add new functions, you'll see new options here. To just literally drag and drop if we want to change these around and put them into a different order. And we can also create what's called sub-menus. So we may just have parties here. And if we imagine About Us as parties, we can actually put baby showers underneath that as like a sub-menu, so that when you hover over, you get a little drop down, and baby showers would now be in the drop down. I'm not going to do that, but it's just to show you and give you an idea. We're going to allocate this as the primary, and I'm also going to do it as a footer for now. You may want a separate menu. You would create new menu, give it a new name for footer maybe, and just tick footer on its own. I'm going to do it for both. Come back and refresh, and we'll see the menu's now changed. So now we've got our menu, and it's at the top and it's also at the bottom. So you get the idea that now that's how that element works and how we're going to do that. Now we need to sort this middle section out. So what I need to do, come away from this for the moment, come away from this, come all the way back to the page. And I've installed some plugins on the site. And the plugins that I've installed are sort of, some of them are generic and I use them on all the sites. Some of them are a bit extra. But 2 of the main ones which I use is the Visual Composer. This comes with X. Now, Visual Composer is a plugin. It's in Code Canyon. You can download it. It's about $18, $19. But it bloats out the website, and it's very easy to use, but it's very cumbersome, and it's very, developers don't like it. If you don't know what you're doing, it's fantastic. If you're a developer, they'll tell you they hate it. It sometimes breaks things. It's not the best. What I love about the X theme is they've taken this and they've custom built it from the ground up, and they've added a lot of additional features so that it works really well with the theme. So it looks very different if you use it on a normal theme compared to if you use it on the X theme. And what I also do is the guys at Brainstorm Force, they have an ultimate add-on for Visual Composer. Again, a one-off payment, about $19, but I add that in because it gives me a lot of additional functionality and a lot of additional features. What that basically means, if I come back to the page here, and I'm just going to refresh it in a second, I'm going to go to home page. But what you'll see is there are now new options. So whereas before it looked like this, now we can see we have these tabs that weren't here before. And I'm just going to delete this content so we've got a blank page. If I click on Backend Editor, you'll now see our WordPress, what you normally type into, has completely changed. Okay, now what that means, if I click on Add Element, I get a nice little pop-up with all these different things that I can add. Be it a header, a button, a quote, a pricing grid, whatever it may be, you can add it. Tabs, accordions, you get the idea. You can go through the Xtheme website, and I'll talk about this in the course. I'm not going to go into it now. If I scroll down, all of these colored options are additional features that come with the Ultimate add-on. Now, what I'm going to do is a little little hack here where if I click on Brainstorm and I click on Modules, and I just open this up, and in the address bar, I'm going to type in and author. You wouldn't normally know about this. You'll get a little debug option. Very interesting. Here we can come along and we can turn on theme support. And now we know that this plugin works with the X theme. Very, very good to be able to do that. We're going to save the changes. Again, it's not common knowledge to have that, but it's a very good little backdoor thing to have there to be able to make it work the way you may want it to work. Come to modules. We're going to make sure all the modules are turned on. We're going to save the changes, and we're ready to go. So come back to the page, the home page, and I'm going to build out the home page. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to change it ever so slightly from what we've got. We're going to get away with this. Ideally, what we'd have here is a video here, and we'd have maybe a call to action, a way that they can leave their name and email address. And we may do that with the top 10 tips to plan your kids' party or something like that. Give them something of value that they can download, like a check sheet or something like that. Now, I don't have that. I'd need to speak to Delara, but I'm sure that she'll be able to create that. And that will give a massive additional element to her website. So for now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to come to the site, come to home, and I'm just going to build out the page how I feel it should look. And again, I'm doing this on the fly because I haven't got long. But I want to show you how easy, the whole purpose of this is to show you how easy it is to create a website once you've got an idea. So I'm going to click add an element, and I'm going to add what's called a container band. Now, a page is built in 3 ways. You have rows, so different sections. You have columns, which are vertical, and then you have the elements inside. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add here a row, and I'm going to customize the row so that it is 2/3 and 1/3. I'm then going to add in another element behind that, so another content band. And this one, I'm going to do 3 sections. So this can be the 3 different types of parties: baby shower, kids parties, grown-up parties. And we'll put those in there as an image to click through. Then what we're going to want is some text. So what I may want to do here is structure this so I have half text and half testimonials. Or I may want to just break up and have a banner first. So I'll have a banner first, and then I'm going to do, and this is where the wireframe comes into play. So once you've got your wireframe, you'll already know the layout, and you can just go in and you can see how easy it is now to build out the layout of the site, how it's going to look. Now, because I'm using no container, I need to create my own containers. Otherwise, what will happen on the page, which you would have seen before, is this will butt right up against the left and right hand side. And we don't want that. So what we do is we click on the edit on the row. And from here, I'm going to click in a container. Simple as that. So I will go ahead and do that for each element. We can also duplicate an element and we can delete. So gives you some options and things you can do there. And very, very simple. We'll do that. So we've got our page. Now, if this is a page that we're going to use again, for example, if we created a landing page, because what we should be doing here is we should have a separate landing page for each of these sections so that you can drive traffic to the home page, but also you can target people who are interested in babies, people who are interested in kids parties, and people that are interested in grown-up parties. There's 3 separate target audiences there. So you don't want to put a marketing campaign out just for your business, because people that want grown-up parties may not have kids. So if you're marketing to grown-ups about kids stuff, they're not going to be interested. So you need to be very specific in what it is you're doing. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say, right, now I've got this layout, for example, when I'm doing a landing page, what I can do is I can actually save this template. So I click here, and now this one obviously is called home page. Save the template, and what that basically means is that if I just give you an example here where I delete all this code, and you can see all the code that's created here to give me those elements. So if I come back here, so that I've got a standard page with nothing on it, and I click here, click home page, and it will load that page. So I can now create pages very, very quickly. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to come across to YouTube. I appreciate that Bilal hasn't got a video yet, so I'm just going to pick up a party video from YouTube. I'm just going to go for this as a video. It really doesn't matter for the purpose of this at the moment because obviously this will be replaced, but I'm going to go to share. I'm going to get the embed code. I'm going to copy that embed code. I'm going to come back to the edit page, click on the element, and I'm going to type in video. It's going to get rid of all the stuff I don't need, and it's just going to leave me with some options. I'm going to choose video because we've embedded it. Come across to the text box. I'm going to paste that in, save the changes. That's it. My video is now in. So what I'm going to do is leave this blank for now, but this will be our sign up box if you imagine we're going to have that later. So we'll have to go ahead and add that in. Underneath, I'm going to want my 3 different sections. So if I just click on preview at the moment to see this page, already we can see that we've got this video, but it's padded up against the top here and we don't like it. And also, now I'm on this page, I don't really like this grey. It's not really got that warm feel colour to it. So what I'm going to do is come back, appearance, customize. I'm going to change the background color of the entire site. I do that very, very simply by coming into the customizer, coming down to layout and design, scrolling down to background color, and I'm going to give this just like a, not really sure what sort of color I'm going to give it. It's definitely not going to be that color, but I'm going to give it a really light fade. So it's got a sort of a tinge to it, and it's a little bit, maybe not that much, it's a bit too orangey for my liking. There we go, I like that. So it's a little bit warmer. So as you can see, that's going to be a better color to have. So I'm just going to save and publish that. Come back here. And also what we noticed when we was looking at the page before is it had no padding at the top. It was right up against the menu, and we don't want that. So what I'm going to do, now I've saved that, I can close that. I come back to the row, edit the row. I'm going to add 50 pixels on the top. So padding the top, 50 pixels, preview the change. And now what we'll see is the color will have changed. And also you can see I've got a bit of padding at the top now. So it just gives it a much better feel. I think you'll agree already this is looking quite nice as a site when we compare the two. So we've got this option or this option. So what I'm going to do now is I'll go through, I'll add all the rest of the text. So for example, I'll sort of take this, I'll come across here, back to the page, and this may be a heading here. So I'll click here, type in heading. Put it as a title. Once it's in as a title, I can come across the typography and I can add fonts. So if I come to Brainstorm, Google Fonts, I can actually add the fonts in that we're going to use. And there's 3 sort of main type fonts that I've given her for this website. So Google Font Manager, click here to upload Google Fonts. This is adding them into the Ultimate add-on. So that's now done. There's 701 fonts. Excuse me. And the first one is called Shadows into Light 2. I'll come back and check any questions in just a second. So I'm going to add that to the collection. The second one we're going to use is called Pacifico. Oh, there we go, Pacifico. And the third one we used was just a standard open sans. Add those to the collection. Once they're in the collection, we can offer different sort of weights that we may want to use between the fonts. And once we're happy and we've got that, they're all in there. We update the font and they're now in. If I come back across to the page I was editing, just to save these changes and just refresh this page, I'm going to do that by updating the page. When I come back to the typography now, in any of the Ultimate add-on plugins, those fonts will now be available. So it's going to give me some options and some ideas once we've got our typography. So I'll do that really quickly now. Typography, font family, as you can see. So shadows into light, we can choose our font size. So maybe we want to go 32, I'm going to actually go 26. We can choose our font color. We already know it's a primary color, save that. what I'm going to do for the images here, I'm actually for now going to use icons. Now, the reason I'm going to use icons is because I don't have the images as yet. If we had free images, and this is where you could go on something like Fiverr.com, this is absolutely fine. I don't recommend you use Fiverr unless it's for things like this. You can go on here and you can get little images made up. They're not going to be the best, but you can get them. If you've got someone that knows branding, then I would suggest you go on something like Elance, find a good designer and say, look, here's my color palette, here's my typography, here's my target audience, create something for me. You're probably looking at about £50, I would say, per image for a decent quality image. But once you've got them, you've got them. So it's kind of worth it. But what we're going to do in the interim to save money and just to get started, because believe me, something's better than nothing, is we're just going to pick 3 icons. So for the moment, what we need to know is we're going to have all these options here for icons. Now, purely for the sake of just building this, I'm not going to worry too much about it, but you would maybe pick, you know, whatever 3 they may be. So I'm just going to, for this instance, pick a star. I'm going to make that icon 60, and I'm going to use the colors again. So this is where I'm going to come back to my my primary colors. So F79740. Copy paste that. Now here's what's really cool here. So we've got our icon. Our title is going to be baby showers. May have a line of text underneath. So click to find out more, for example, or whatever it may be. I would say have something about the baby shower, you know, a simple 1-line text. Apply a link to the complete box. And the link we're going to have is that when they click here, link to existing content, baby showers, set link. Done. We're going to have the icon at the top. We're going to save the changes. We're going to preview this page. Now, once we've done this for one, this is where it gets really interesting. So come across here. And what you'll see once this refreshes is now we have this one here, this one little baby showers. Now we know we need to make that font bigger. That font's not big enough. Okay, so what we're going to do is come back to edit page. We'll get this box right first, and then we can come across. So I know that typography, I need to make the font size here, let's say 32 pixels. Okay, and also I also know that I need to make that the primary color as well. So once I've got that, I can duplicate that across the other 2 boxes. It's going to make life a lot easier for me. So there we go, we've got that. We can see that works. So I'm now going to just duplicate for the sake of time at the moment. And I'm going to do questions and answers afterwards. So I've got about 15 minutes left. So what I want to do is I'm trying to give you as much as I can as I'm doing it, but also I just want you to see really how easy this is. You know, the hardest thing about this is the strategy. But we just duplicated them, so you can see we've got those. We can now go in and we can edit them. So what I'm going to do is just edit the text on these 2 boxes. And ideally, we'd have images there, 3 separate images, and it would look a lot better. So baby showers, we've got kids' parties. And don't forget to change the link as well, so it goes to the new page. Save and update that, and we'll do the same for adult parties. So now what we will have is an option for people to sign up once we've done that, and we'll link that into MailChimp for now, just as a way of getting out there. I always suggest if you're going to use MailChimp, you use an add-on called Mandrill. I use Infusionsoft specifically because you don't just want to be building a list, you need to be able to segregate that list and you need to segment it. And the only way you can do that is with an add-on. MailChimp doesn't do it as standard. It's really important, again, for when you're targeting, you don't want to send an email about, you know, baby showers to people that are only interested in adults. So really important that you get that right and that you segregate your lists. You'll convert a lot more in sales, trust me. So we've got that. I'm going to come down to the heading. I'm going to edit the row. And I'm just going to come across in a second and look at any questions you may have. So if you've got any questions, just type them in now and I'll come across and have a quick look for you. I'm going to put 50 pixels top and bottom here, and background color, I'm going to choose white. Save that, preview the page. Okay, so now what you're going to see is we've got a top section, our video, our bit there. Obviously, we can change this later. We can actually make this a lot bigger and a lot better using this, but then obviously we'll have this information as we go through. They'll be a lot better when they're images. We can put some more padding in so we can play with this, but it gives you the idea of what we've got here. Now, even just having this as the home page with nothing else on it, just the video, the sign up box and the free boxes, that's absolutely fine as a starting point. You don't need more details to start with. You can have them, but you don't need them. So what I'm going to do now is, I've already said I'm going to do the text. I won't do the testimonials just yet, but I'm going to add a text box here. What I'm going to do, I'm actually going to add it underneath that top heading here. Let me just close this down. We'll delete that because we don't want it. We'll click underneath the heading on a little plus. And we're going to add in a text box. Come back to the original site. And for now, I'm just going to take all of this content. What we can do is look at, we're using the other elements that are available to make this a lot better, to give it a lot more style. And, you know, it takes more than an hour to do that, but I'm just trying to give you an example, an idea here to get you started. So in here, I'm just going to paste this text to get rid of all the crap that we don't want on there. See, there's a lot of spaces here. I'm actually going to put in as text. So when I come across the visual, it's there. I'll save that. We'll preview the changes. And again, we can change this and we can play about with it. But right now we've got this sort of section here as a starting point. You know, we can take away the white if we don't want that. There's so many different things we can do to edit and play with this. That was really just as an idea of getting started to get the homepage where we want it. So I can come across, take this home text, drop it into a different row underneath. I want to preview that. It will take away the white that was behind it, because that was just an extension here. So it will look like that. But as you can see, it's butted up against the left-hand side now. So you need to come in, edit the page, come down, edit, and I need to have in a container. So I appreciate that was a lot. And if you're watching this and you haven't seen it before, you may be going, oh my God, I'm not trying to get you to remember this. That's not the purpose of this. The purpose of this is to show you how easy it is to just take elements, drag and drop, put them in, and you've got yourself a homepage. And as you can see, I've built a homepage out there in about, well, just under 30 minutes. Now, I don't know what your opinion is, but I would say that when you look at this page, okay, and when you look at this page, once we have that box in, once we have those three elements in there, and we have a nice little button, so this is what I'm going to do now. I'm going to add something here just for now. So here, I'm going to add some text. I'm going to add a heading text. Here, I'm going to have, because again, it's better to have something than nothing. So what I'm going to have as a title here is book your party. Okay. Click on the button below. And then we're going to reinforce what we had in the header. So this is going to be to book your, and when we go back, it's going to be unique and unforgettable experience. Okay, now, like I said, I'm doing this on the fly. I'd put a lot more planning and effort into this normally, but I wanted to do this to show you just how it can be done. Okay, so we're going to go font, shadows into light. We already know what font color we're going to use. Font size, we'll say 32 here. Subheading, we're going to do as, say, maybe 26. I'm going to save the changes there. Just preview it to see how it looks. Right, so we know that we need to make that heading a lot bigger. It's too small at the moment. So we'll come back. What I would say in here, I'm maybe going to come up to 52, and you can play about with it. Here's a little tip for you. If you're using Chrome, you can right click and inspect element. What I'll do is that'll give you a little magnifying glass that pops up in the bottom left here. You can hover over any element. And it actually gives you, if you can see, the dimensions of what that element is. So if I click on here, it then tells me my font size. I can actually make that bigger right here. And that will give me a good idea of what size I want it to be. So I know I want it to be 52 pixels. Okay, it shows me. It won't save that. If I refresh, I'll lose it, but it's good for if you want to make some really quick edits to the page and just go ahead and do that. Underneath, I'm going to add a button. I'm going to add an advanced button. And I'm just going to call it Get Happy. I mean, you can do whatever you want here, but this is basically going to book through to the product page or whatever it's going to be. Now, ideally, this will be a download link, as we said. For now, I'm going to put it through to the contact page, just literally as a starting point. You know, anything's better than nothing. The button title color. So this is really important here. What we need to do is get the background color. So the background color is going to be the call to action color, which was 8FCD8B. I'm going to copy that for a minute. And the title color we're going to have as white. Okay. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come to the background here, have a little fade effect, hover. So what happens when it hovers? Well, the background will turn white, but the text will turn into the call to action color. And we're going to put a little solid border. The border color will have as a little 1 pixel green border here. And a typography, we know we want shadows into light, and we want it to be nice big font, 32 pixels. Save changes and preview. So what that's going to do now is that's giving us a button that clicks through to the contact page. And as you can see, when I hover on that, you see we get that. Now, obviously, we may want to put a picture here, do something, you know, there's things we can do. But I'm just trying to give you an idea quickly that you can have this. And even that, you know, when you land on the site, first thing you've got is a video. The video should be, hi, welcome to my site. If you're interested in a party for either your baby, a kid, or even you want a grown-up party, then click on the links on the menu and have a look. Alternatively, if you want to know the top 10 things you need to do to get the very best out of your party, just put in your name, click the link to the right-hand side, and they can click that and boom. That can pop up a box, and that box can ask them to put in their name and email address, and then you can start emailing them and nurturing them, telling them about things. It can also have a little tick box on there. What type of party are you interested in? Baby, kids, or grown-ups? So when they click on one of those, it will redirect them. Once they click that button, they put in their details, it'll redirect them through to one of these 3 pages. Okay, so we can do that really, really, really simply just by having the contact form set up. So I'm going to carry on now. I'm just going to go through. I'm going to have a look at the questions like I said I would. Right, let me just share my screen for 2 seconds so that I can see here. I'm going to go through a couple of the questions. Where do you create logos? I mean, that one I did earlier, I created myself, but that was purely just a few minutes and I just threw it together. I would always say, if you're going to do it, get a good designer. I mean, I've spent years looking for my design team. I've got 2 different designers that I use now. They're world class. But as a result of that, they cost between £2,000 and £6,000 to do a design for a site. So I would recommend Elance is a good place to go. You have to sift through some stuff. 99 Designs is really good if you want to get a lot of options. You can get a lot of options and you can go through them. That's about $250 for a logo. So 99 Designs, Elance. I really wouldn't get a logo done on Fiverr. You know, if you're paying someone $4, you really don't value your business. Fiverr's all right for little things you want to do here and then, like, you know, if you want to change something or take a background out of an image, little tiny tweaks. But I wouldn't really have it for any, you know, your logo is your brand. It's what people see. It's the first thing people see. If you're not willing to invest in that, then you don't really have a business that's worth investing in my opinion. So yeah, I would say 99 Designs or Elance, and put between I'd say about $250 to $500, depending on what you want and how you're going to go through. Once up front, you can send that to anyone who's WordPress. If you purchase themes in WordPress, it's a payment once up front or annually. So depends on the theme, different themes, different things. With the X theme, it's one-off. Pay for it, lifetime updates. You can only use it on one site and then you have to purchase it again. I think I've purchased somewhere between 20 or 30 licenses now. We've got, you know, and God knows how many clients have purchased them as well. I'm very good friends with the guy that created it, and I know that they made their first million in their first 6 months. So they've hit over $2.5 million now in sales. They're good at what they do. And you can see now why I'm using it. GoDaddy templates really suck. Yep, you're not wrong there. I thought Lily was going to build a site. Lily actually used this to build a site. Okay, I've got a 20-minute video of her building her first website. It was about an hour and a half, given the back and forth that we had, and she got a little bit bored in the middle. But I actually have, and I will repurpose this video, an hour and a half of her doing this and building her first website. She enjoys it. She likes coloring in. She likes doing stuff. She knows Photoshop. You know, she goes through this, so she can use it. And I'll show you her website. I'll go through and show you her website and what she's built. But I'm not going to do that now. I'm going to save that for later. Let's have a look. How much would it cost for a budget DIY website design, including new plugins, add-ons, themes, etc.? So, great question, Clara. And what I would normally say is, for a theme, you're looking at about $65 for the theme. Plugins, another couple of $100. Plus, you've got your hosting, monthly fees you have to pay for. I would say anything between $200 to $500 to get set up. Normally about $300, but it depends on what you want it to do. I mean, WooCommerce, which I'm going to install in a second, that's free. So you get a free shopping cart that you can build into the site there. There's a lot of things that you can do that you can have for free. There's a lot of things that cost a little bit. The trick is not to become what's called a plugin junkie. Don't go on to ThemeForest and CodeCanyon and just start grabbing things and install them in your site, because you'll end up with this bloated website with all of these functionalities in them, but they'll all conflict and your site will break. So just ask yourself the question before you buy a plugin: do you really need it? Or is it something you can go onto Google and learn to do yourself? There's a lot of things that you can learn for a couple of minutes, and it's always good practice to learn a little bit of code. Or you can hire someone, you know, get someone on Elance and say, look, I've got some ad hoc work. You can pick someone up to do that for you. Only challenge is, and this is really interesting, is that John Cleese, if you ever get the opportunity, go onto YouTube and watch and type in John Cleese stupidity. And he tells you that stupid people actually lack the very thing they need in order to know they're stupid. They're not clever enough to know that they're stupid, so they don't know that they're stupid. And the same thing, I'm not referring you to like web developers and stupid people, but if you take that same, you know, that's what he says, and you take that into the web development, if you want to build a website and you want to hire a web developer, unless you are a web developer, you do not know the things that you need to know to hire a good web developer. You need a web developer to be able to hire a web developer. It's a bit of a catch-22, because a web developer will do stuff behind the scenes. And if you don't know what they're doing, you don't know if it's good or not. And when you go to India or the Philippines, I use these as an example, but, you know, history has proved to me that if you go to sort of Eastern society where labor's a lot cheaper and the culture is to say yes, you know, Indian culture is to agree with you and to say yes. So can you build me a website? Yes. And then when you say, where's my website? Yes. You know, and I jest and I joke, but that's my experience. And what I found is that they're not developers. You know, you can see here, what I've done now is not website development. I'm a business owner. I don't have time to be coding websites. My whole course is not about coding websites. It's about getting it out there, about taking a website and getting it online. And that's exactly what I do. You know, you've just seen in the last sort of 45 minutes, I built out a homepage. Yes, there's a couple of elements I need to add into it. But what I can do now in the next 15 minutes, if I just stop talking to you and I just switch on and do it, and I'll do that in a minute, you'll see the whole site come together very, very quickly. I'm going to go through the questions and I'm going to spend another 15 minutes on the site. So just have a quick look through now. What was the name of the MailChimp add-on to segregate emails? It's called Mandrill, M-A-N-D-R-I-L-L, Mandrill. So there's Aweber, there's MailChimp, different options. I use Infusionsoft, and if you can budget for it, if you speak to me, if you're ready at that point, it's about $250 a month for the full package. So I can get the Kickstarter removed. You can do it as a monthly thing, but that's where I am in my business now, because I know how important that is. You know, I would always say that if you're going to start off with Infusionsoft. I've got a plugin called WP Fusion. It links WordPress and Infusionsoft together. Infusionsoft, WordPress, WP Fusion, that's it. About $300. You're looking at about $250 a month. Well, you're looking at about $500 in plugins and getting set up. About $250 a month, plus good hosting, another $50. Well, $30 a month at least. So about $300 a month, about $500 one-off, and you have what I would consider a very, very good starting level platform for a business. And there's no reason why in the first month of having that, you should not be able to generate that income to keep you going. You know, you need to step up and say, look, I want to be here, right? You may only be here now, but you need to look at where you want to be and build your website for when you get there. Otherwise, you're going to be constantly rebuilding your website every time you step up. So build the website that you want to step into, not the one where you feel that you are now. I designed websites nearly 10 years ago using HTML, CSS. Can we embed keywords for pages when using WordPress for SEO to drive traffic? Absolutely. One of the things I would say if I'm doing this, and I'll go through and show you that now very quickly. Let me just share my screen again. Is I use a plugin here called Yoast. So I'm going to go add new plugin, SEO by Yoast. And what that will allow you to do, and I'll show you very, very quickly now. It'll allow you to SEO your page. And it's almost like a little game. I love playing it. So Yoast, as you can see, 17 million downloads. The guy that runs the company is called Juice de Valk. Juice de Valk he's a Dutch guy, and he is what I would consider the key person of influence or the leading authority in WordPress and SEO. You know, he's constantly coming over to the UK. He does a lot of work for things like The Guardian or The Telegraph. You know, newspapers hire him because he knows SEO. Okay, and he's got a plugin. It's one of the most popular plugins out there. When you install it like I have, you can go through and set everything up. But if I come back to this page now, just going to update the page, you'll see a new option here. So on the right-hand side in the publish bar, we'll see a new option called SEO. And if I come down now, we see we have a new option here called WordPress SEO by Yoast. So what I'm going to do is scroll down. And here I put in my keyword. So here, this could be, she wants to focus on, let's just say kids parties, for example. That could be the focus keyword, okay? What I would now do is update the page with that focus keyword. And it's going to give me what's called a page analysis. So I can see now where my keyword's being used for the meta description and if it is or isn't or what it's doing. So if I come into my SEO title now, you can see it's not working. So it may be the Laura events. Even if I put in kids parties, yeah, page title is now in there. Great, magical, unique, and unforgettable kids parties. You see now, if it's in the content, so you can start to go through this. What will happen now is that will turn from an orange. The idea is like a little game. I wouldn't get too fixated on it, but if I click on page analysis here, you can see all the things that I can do to make this site more SEO friendly. It tells you all the things, and the idea is to have them all green. Basically, get rid of the reds. That's the main thing. If you come across to advanced, you can follow or non-follow the site. There's some more things you can do, but the really good thing here is social. You can give it its own Facebook title, Facebook description, and Facebook image. For every page, I would set a featured image. That way, when you share that page, you have a specific image for that page. So it looks good when you're sharing it. So that's something I would make sure you do. But as you can see, very, very good to be able to go through and do that. I'm going to go through and just have a look at some more of the questions you have on here. Are you able to resize landing page? All information is in one view without the need to scroll down. Absolutely, you can do. The problem is, Clara, with that is that scroll down. What does that really mean these days? You know, there is no, it used to be where everything would have a certain pixel. You know, this will be 900 pixels wide and this will be 400 pixels tall and it would all go onto this size desktop. It doesn't exist anymore. You've got mobile phones, tablets, different size mobile. I mean, an iPhone 6 is bigger than a desktop. So depending on what you're on, really depends on, scrolling is not a bad thing. I mean, I know a lot of people don't. The idea is to get the main bulk, get a call to action in the top section so they can click through. Most people will click on the menu or the call to action, but for those that want to scroll down, let them if they want to. But yeah, I wouldn't. I mean, I see what you're saying about having a rotating banner, but it just doesn't work. It's just factually proven it doesn't work. Have one image, one call to action, one clear, compelling headline. Tell people what you do. Give them an option to click. That's it. Don't overcomplicate it. People have got too much going on. We're all far too busy. We can't take in all the information that we're being bombarded with. So the trick, and Einstein said this best, any fool can complicate a situation, but it takes a touch of genius to simplify. If you can make things so simple that I don't have to think, that I can just automatically on autopilot go click, 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 what have I just bought? Because it is that simple, then you've got a winner. I'm just going to go through a couple more of the questions. Oh, awesome. That seems to be most of the questions. Fantastic. So what I was saying really, and the main thing that I was going through here is how important it is really more than anything to have the ability to be able to create the sites really quickly. So if you want to hang around, then I'm going to give you the opportunity to watch me for the next 15 minutes, and I'm just going to work really quickly, and I'm going to fly through and just finish building this website in the next 15 minutes. What I do want to just say that if you think that the information I've given you tonight has been valuable and you're in the chat box right now, what I would urge you to do is to take a look at the 30-day course. So my 30-day course, which shows you exactly what I'm showing you now, but in a much more relaxed, a much more easy to digest, step-by-step, 30 days, a video a day with a checklist of things to do, and it takes you through everything I've shown you, plus so much more. It shows you how to create your autoresponders. It shows you how to create your pages. It shows you how to do your landing page, how to do everything. If you're interested in that, then I've just added the button. You should be able to see that in your chat box, or just go to onlinemastery.co.uk and visit the training on the site. If you want to do that, then I'm going to leave that there. What I'm going to do now for the next 15 minutes is just build the site and carry on going through it. If you have any questions about your website whilst I'm here in the next 15 minutes, just put them in the chat box and I'll go through it. I'll come back in about 10-15 minutes time and I'll go through. But for now, I'm going to go back. I'm going to answer this one more question from Clara, and then I'm going to go back to just finish building this site so you can see me do it in the next 15 minutes. But this says, question, if you build a website on WordPress, does it automatically resize for the iPhone, iPad, etc.? Or is this a different? Don't worry about asking all the questions, Clark. Look, this is what I'm here for. I'm here to help you. So if you have a question, please ask. No is the answer to that question. It's not WordPress. WordPress is really just the framework and the core construct to what you're building. If you like, WordPress is the chassis of the car. The paint and how the car looks is down to the theme. Now I'm using the X theme, and the X theme is fully responsive on every device, and it's very easy and very intuitive to use. The theme gives you all of the functions and all of the look, the feel, and the interactions that you have with the site. And a plugin is simply what it says. I plug in. It plugs into the theme. So you get a plugin, you plug it into the theme, and it gives you additional functionality. So really, it's the theme that you want to be looking at, what theme you use. You can go on ThemeForest. There's loads of themes you can get that do a great job. I would always say if you're on there, look for a theme that has a good review. And more than anything, find a developer or an author that is active. Don't have someone where they haven't commented in the last 3 months. You need someone that's constantly switched on. The X theme has, hands down, the best support I have ever seen on the planet. Not just in themes, in general. Their support is unbelievable. It comes only second to Apple and the people like, if you imagine, the best way to describe the X theme is if you walked into an Apple Genius bar. You've got about 400 blue shirts all like pouncing on you. The X theme's the same. You go onto the community, onto the forum, the support forum, you post a question, their support team's on it. Fantastic. So yeah, I really do recommend using the X theme. And just to give you an idea, look, I'm going to show you a website. This isn't actually launched yet, but I'm going to show you a website. This was built with the X theme. Okay, this was built completely using the X theme. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to show you another one in a second. This was also built with the X theme. So this first one, this is an X theme. I custom built this. Now this isn't a standard build. This is a very, very in-depth, fully automated affiliate network marketing system. You know, and this is a £25,000 website. So it can be done, but it's not something you're going to get out of the box, just to let you know. But as you see, this has everything that you need in here. You know, you can click on the products to get them. It's got everything that you need here to be able to go through and create. It can create anything. That's just as an example. And if I was to click on here, this will take me to a landing page. This one's taking me directly to the checkout at the moment. But as I said, this isn't launched yet. We're still building it. But if you imagine I click down here and we go to one of the landing pages. So here we go. We have you know, the videos. Everything's here. It's all built out. I'm very simple. You know, the idea is to get it out there and then to add to it. So we're adding the content into this now, but this just gives you an idea of one site. And this is a different example. So this is my partner, Jamie, and this is her website. This took 6 days from start to finish. It was built in Optimized Press. We completely stripped it out and rebuilt it in the X theme. And it's been phenomenal. The success that we've had off the back of this, just by changing some of the elements. And to give you an idea as well, here's something else I'm going to show you. We use something called Hotjar. Hotjar is one form of analytics. I've just realized you can't see my screen, can you? I'm so sorry. Oh, there's a fail for you if ever I've seen one. Bear with me. I'm going to share my screen and go back through it. Sorry about that. Let me start again. Getting late in the evening. This website, as I was saying, is built on the X theme. So you can see my screen now, and I'm sorry about that before. But as you can see, this is a £25,000 website that we built on the X theme. And it's not just the website, it was the strategy, the logo. We created the logo, the color palettes, the fact that every product has a different color, the fact that you can go through to the landing pages and everything through the emails, all the systems that are built, the affiliate system, the multi-tier network marketing system. It's all been built from the ground up. So yeah, fantastic product this will be once it's launched. Another example here, my partner Jamie, this is hers. This was built in Optimized Press, and we basically took the whole thing out of Optimized Press and we rebuilt it in the X theme in just 6 days, made it fully responsive, and it's been fantastic. The response that we've had from people when they come through here now, you can see how different it is. And this is an example of a landing page. So as you can see, a header, a video, we've got a sidebar here, we've got a button underneath. You know how to do these now. We've got another header, and here we've got very simple, just little plus icons, bit of text, another video. And you can see how easy it is to do these now. Header, text box, header, text box, header, text box, button. So simple. You know, on the right-hand side here, we've just got block elements, quotes. We add them in. It's really that simple. One of the things we do here, I have, I don't know my login details, which is a shame, but bear me a sec. I'm going to log into Hotjar just to give you an example of analytics and how important analytics are. So if I come to, for example, Jamie's homepage and we view the heat map, now you can see how important it is to have a heat map and to get the analytics. So we can see exactly where people see, most people are clicking on login, but we can start to see where people are clicking on her site. Now we can see that people aren't really interacting with this button. So we know that the text on that button is not right. We need to change it. You can see where people are trying to click on the testimonials, where they're scrolling down. We can see, looking here, that most people are interested in private lessons as opposed to anything else. Okay, you get the idea of where people are clicking and what works. We can also see how many people have sort of scrolled down. We get the idea of what works and what doesn't. Most people want to contact us via email. So you get the idea of what people are interested in and how people want to interact with you. So really, really important to have this ability to get all of this information. That's just to give you an example. We use lots of different analytics. And again, we go through that all within the the 30-day course, we talk about all the different the things that we go through. So you've seen the link there. That's in the chat box. I'm going to spend the next 12 minutes going through. So if you want to stay on, you're more than welcome to. I'll come back in 12 minutes. If you've got any questions, please send them through. I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to go through and I'm going to finish building out this site. So back to where I was, looking at the online store, and I can see now that if I click on About Us, I need to build the About Us page. So I'm going to update that, finish that. And this is going to be an image, which I'm going to take that, save that image, put it in the desktop, take that text, come back to pages, and you get the idea. So I click on About Us. And one more thing, guys and girls, I just want to ask you, do you think that this has been valuable information for you? I've just put a little pop up there for you just to be able to look at to see what you think. But is this valuable, what I've told you tonight? If you've got feedback, please let me know. I'm always interested to know what you think. I'm going to create a content band here, 2 sides. So we know that on the left side, we want an image. Now to do an image, I need to do a container. I want to center the text. This gives it a this centers the image. Then come in and add an image. What I'm going to do is add this image, and I'm going to upload this image. Now, this image before, as you can see, was uploaded with this crazy number. It's actually saying that I can't. I don't know why I can't upload that image. Give me a sec. Okay, I don't know what that was, why it didn't save, but let me go back. I probably because it's got some weird thing underneath it. So .jpg will do. We'll see if we can save that. With some weird file otherwise. Probably didn't understand it. So there we go. We've got a normal image now. But the title should really have the title of what the site is. So the Lara events, parties, something like that. And we'll have that as the title and the alt text. That way you start to SEO your images as well. So we're going to have that. Remember, we're going to make this as an inner container. Put a little bit of padding on the top here, so maybe 50 pixels. We're going to make this so no container header and footer. On the right hand side, we're going to have some text. Text box. Come back, copy that text, edit the page. I'm going to post that. Save that. Just preview the page first, make sure it's how I want it. Okay, so it hasn't actually saved. This is the old layout. So I need to update this to change the template. Once that's done, I can then refresh the page. What you're going to see now is this will be the, see, this is a container with a sidebar. Now we're taking it out. There we go. So we've got this page. So what I would tend to do there underneath here, I'm going to put a button, which wasn't on there before, but if they're on this page, you want to get in contact, we want people to know. Also, what I'm going to do here after the home page is you may want people to know about the free elements. So here's the thing, right? I'm going to come back to pages. This is just my way of working. So I appreciate I'm being a bit scatty, but please just bear with me a sec. Focus on the outcome here and not the way I'm getting here to do it, because this probably would confuse you. I don't want it to. I'm just going to delete this top section on the home page. Okay. I'm just going to delete this bottom section here. All I want to leave are these 3 info boxes. And there's a reason for this. So bear with me a second. Delete all that. And I've only got these left. I